Imagine for a second that you're so inherently brilliant, so undeniably superior to everyone around you, that the normal rules of society, even the rule against murder, literally just don't apply to you. It's a dark, incredibly seductive thought, right? You just use cold logic, take exactly what you want, and engineer your own absolute greatness. But what happens when that cold calculation completely collapses under the weight of your own humanity? Welcome to this explainer. We're going to dive deep into a classic that holds some profoundly shocking secrets for your modern mindset and ambition.
So, we're kicking things off with a deeply counterintuitive question. Can a superior intellect actually justify the ultimate crime in the pursuit of success? I mean, society constantly tells us that sheer calculating logic is the absolute key to winning. But is that actually true? In this Crime and Punishment summary, we're going to see exactly how the iconic author Fyodor Dostoevsky tests this extremely dangerous rationalist trap.
Now, the protagonist of the story doesn't just sit around theorizing. He literally takes an axe and brutally murders an old pawnbroker. And he's driven by this wild belief that his superior intellect and a so-called greater good can completely justify the unforgivable. It is the ultimate test of pure, unfiltered arrogance. He genuinely thinks he can just outsmart his own conscience. But, as you'll see throughout this book summary, trying to outsmart your own humanity is pretty much the absolute fastest way to destroy it.
Section 4. Dostoevsky and the Rational Trap. The Origins of Radical Intellectualism.
You see, Fyodor Dostoevsky wasn't just making this stuff up. He was writing from a place of intense, agonizing life experience. Born in Moscow back in 1821, he actually fell in with a group of radical intellectuals who totally worshipped Western rationalism. But then, in 1849, his whole world gets flipped. He's arrested and faces a mock execution. Picture this. He's literally standing right in front of a firing squad mere seconds away from death before his sentence is suddenly commuted to brutal exile and hard labor in Siberia. That absolutely terrifying near-death experience completely shattered his radical intellectualism. He learned the hard way that cold logic means absolutely nothing when you're face-to-face with sheer human agony.
And that brings us right to his protagonist, Rodion Raskolnikov. He's a young student totally obsessed with the idea of committing the perfect crime. And Raskolnikov perfectly embodies the toxic side of ambition. He's that seductive, destructive belief that superior individuals can just transcend moral laws if it serves some higher purpose. It's a mindset that arrogantly looks at the world and declares, "I am above the rules."
Section 7. The Psychological Spiral of Guilt. The inescapable burden of the conscience.
So, what actually happens after he commits the act? Well, physically, he gets away with it. But psychologically, it is a terrifying story. You see, Raskolnikov operates purely on atheistic rationalism. He's relying entirely on cold, calculating reason. He thinks he can just take the stolen money, use it to do good, and balance the cosmic scales like it's just some simple math equation. But instead, he crashes headfirst into traditional Christian values, things like humility, compassion, empathy, and absolute morality. These are the key ideas Dostoevsky uses to show us that viewing yourself as a god doesn't liberate you at all. It just builds a terrifying psychological prison of paranoia.
Because here's the thing about the conscience. It is not some legal construct you can just debate away in a courtroom. It's an inescapable psychological pressure cooker that absolutely demands a moral reckoning. It's your innate sense of right and wrong. In the story, this is brilliantly personified by Inspector Porfiry Petrovich. He doesn't even bother just looking for physical evidence. He intimately understands the crushing burden of guilt. So, he uses psychological pressure. He plays this relentless cat-and-mouse game because he knows Raskolnikov's own internal pressure cooker is eventually going to force a confession. Basically, your mind will always betray your cold logic.
Section 10. Archetypes of Human Nature. 3 mindsets that dictate success or destruction.
Now, Dostoevsky brilliantly illustrates the contrasting paths of life through 3 completely distinct characters. First up, we have Razumikin. He balances grounded reason with compassion, and that leads to a really practical navigation of life. Then, on the totally opposite end, there is Svidrigailov. He represents hedonistic nihilism. He operates with pure self-interest and logic, zero morality, and his ultimate outcome? Emptiness and despair. It's a really dark warning for us. And finally, we have Sonia. Despite facing unimaginable social and personal suffering, she holds firmly on to Christian goodness and faith. Her outcome is unconditional love and redemption. She essentially stands as Raskolnikov's ultimate beacon of hope.
Section 12. Applying these life lessons. The third path for modern life.
So, how do we actually bridge the gap between 19th century Russia and your everyday self-improvement? Well, Dostoevsky offers what we can call a third path, a highly practical way to integrate these themes directly into your own personal growth. Step 1. Recognize the absolute limits of pure logic. You simply cannot spreadsheet your way to a meaningful life. Step 2. Embrace empathy and compassion in all your pursuits. Whether you're aiming for success in business, your studies, or your relationships, a victory achieved without empathy is totally hollow. And step 3, accept your flaws and seek genuine meaning. Stop trying to be this cold, perfect, unfeeling machine and bravely embrace the messy, beautiful reality of being human.
Section 14. Takeaways for personal growth. Actionable wisdom from a masterpiece. All right, let's distill the existential depth of this incredible work into some absolute essentials you can carry with you right now. Here are the main lessons you need to remember. First, intellectual pride is a highly dangerous trap. Second, true morality cannot be derived from cold calculation alone. Third, guilt is your inescapable internal compass. Seriously, you have to listen to it. Fourth, empathy and compassion can survive even the absolute darkest of circumstances. And finally, true redemption and lasting life lessons require the humble acceptance of your own flaws.
We've explored the dark, seductive trap of cold logic and the immense, unyielding power of the human conscience today. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. Will you let cold logic isolate you? Or will you embrace empathy to find your true path? The choice is entirely yours. Keep pursuing greatness with both your brilliant mind and your resilient heart.